This week's sponsor is Jeff from the War for the Tower podcast, an actual play RPG podcast set in the world of Stephen King's Dark Tower. If you're a Dark Tower fan, and especially if you're a fan of Unspoiled Dark Tower with me and Miles, you'll love the epic gameplay and storyline. If you're not, Shattered Worlds RPG is a space opera actual playtest of Jeff's own role-playing game. It's a fun mix of magic, gunplay, and robots. Check both out on your podcatcher of choice. Search for the War for the Tower podcast or Shattered Worlds RPG. This is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Some Spoiled, a song of ice and fire. 2. The co-host switcheroo. The rereading. Return to Westeros. HBO Spoiler Edition. Uncut, uncensored, and too hot for TV. Yada, yada, yada. In this episode, we're covering chapters 55 and 56, Catelyn and Tyrion. In these chapters, Catelyn has to figure out a way to encourage Robb and also get him to make the decisions that are better while not making him feel like a fool, which I can relate to.
Well, we've all been there, haven't we?
And then Tyrion brings his new friends to camp. They make an impression. Welcome to Some Spoiled.
Monsters are dangerous, and just now, kings are dying like flies.
I am
Fuck the king.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Rashawn.
So, welcome back. You had a little hiatus for your birthday.
I did.
Did you have a lovely birthday week?
I did. I had a pretty good birthday.
Yay!
I got goodies from friends far and near. We had a fun little birthday and sober episode.
That was very fun. Had a good time.
Yeah, I had a good time too. People came and hung out in the chat. And, I spent a lot of time watching the old television, eating a lot of snacks.
Did you finish Bly Manor?
I did not. Girl, I am trying to watch this, and I am bored to tears. I cannot lie.
Oh, shit. That is not what I expected, okay? I don't know what to tell you. I'm enchanted by that show.
I think I'm up to episode 5. I don't want to spoil anybody who's listening. I've gotten as far as the big reveal on what exactly was haunting Miss what's her name? Clayton? What's the first name?
Are you talking about Miss Jessel? Rebecca?
The au pair.
Danny,
that's her name. Mm-hmm. Whatever episode it is that reveals what it is that's been haunting her. I've made it that far.
Okay.
That Peter Quint, though.
I know.
That man is all right.
I've been having to deal with some strong attractions to men who are, like, not great on my TV shows that I'm covering. It's him, and then I'm covering the second season of Broadchurch. And what's his face that plays Lee Ashworth, who was also like Jarvis in Agent Carter? He is fine as fuck. I've always thought he was so sexy, and he's like kind of a bad boy. And there's like this scene where he's like got this clingy, sweaty shirt, and he's bashing posts into the ground with a giant sledgehammer, and then he takes his shirt off and lays back in his bed and puts his arms behind his head. I don't know what it is with the arms behind the head thing. It's the sexiest. The guy doesn't even have to be jacked, and it's still like, you just look so good. I love underarm hair, I think.
I think it's because their chest is exposed, so if you had to murder them, you could just... Or is that's just me?
Excuse me?
That's just me. I was thinking...
Are you saying that you find it sexiest when men make themselves vulnerable to murder? Is that what you're telling me here?
Apparently, that is what I'm saying.
That really took a turn, but you know what? That was just the clever way to bring it back to Song of Ice and Fire, so I'll allow it. So these chapters, we start off with Catelyn. What did you think about her approach to talking to Robb and everything? I
loved this. I really did. So, one, I want to say, this, them being reunited, I knew it was coming, obviously. You know, I knew that they were going to meet up at some point.
Right.
But when he looks up and he sees her, and she, like, every impulse in her body is saying, run and go grab her child and give him, like, the biggest hug, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, smush his face with kisses.
Oh, my God.
And she catches herself, and because she understands that is not appropriate for this
Right.
context. You know, he is the Lord of Winterfell. He is commanding his army. She cannot go and give him smooches.
Indeed.
So I love her restraint. I really appreciate that that she, you know, we talked about it before, these moments of what feel like and seem like, you know, really good judgment and, you know, good observations and very smart decisions, you know. And then she'll do something, you know, crazy and just like, oh, this fucking Catelyn, what is she doing? You know, she's a fucking giant dodo bird. But I like this because this is one of those times where you're like, oh, okay, she knows. She's not an idiot, you know.
Yeah.
So she is like testing him and also very subtly nudging him in a way to make him reach like the correct conclusion.
Right, yes.
You know, but she's so mindful of it having that it needs to be done in a way that does not either embarrass him or shake his confidence, which is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just a wonderful little chapter showing us how smart she can be. You know.
Agreed. I've been impatient with her, as we know from you know, things that I have said with my mouth. But I just like I said there are times where I'll act as if I'm referencing something that's new. Like, I'm saying, I've been impatient with her. I don't know if you've noticed. Of course, you've listened to the show. That's what it is me saying how I feel. And I've multiple times shared my frustration. So, of course, people know. I don't know. Anyway, so you would really think I was stoned right now, wouldn't you?
Well, in case you're new here, like somebody might have just jumped into this on this episode, you know.
Krista,
go
back to the beginning, Krista. I know you like to do that. Turn around, start over.
I was just about to say her name too, but I wasn't going to like talk directly to her. I was just going to mention that there are people like her out there in the world that are also insane.
Yeah, I just enjoy a lot when she's given, because the thing about her bad decisions is it's always like when she's under pressure and it feels like she has to make sort of a snap decision. And here she's given the luxury of being able to step back and think about the best approach.
Yeah, yeah.
So it really shows her at her best.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the combination of, like, wanting to do what's best for her son and also reminding him, like, that these people aren't his friends.
Oh, I love it so much.
Because that's something that I think it would be really easy to forget. Like, personally, I know that I want people to like me, and I would definitely fall into the trap of, like, attempting to please everybody and thus looking weaker because I haven't made, like, a firm decision, especially because I can be one of the most indecisive people you've ever met.
Right.
Once I settle on something, then I'm practically immovable. It's like my feet are set in cement. But before that, it'll take me like a goddamn age before I've decided that I want vanilla instead of chocolate. And I really could see thinking that, like, well, they're my friends. They wouldn't, you know. And they're going to do what's right for them and their people and their own ambitions, depending on what that might be. And you got to keep that shit in mind.
Speaking of people with their own ambitions, this Roose Bolton, being all up in the mix.
Yep.
This is no good.
Why is that?
When Kat and Robb are talking, there's a not to jump ahead, but at one point he's sharing with Catelyn what he thinks they should do next. This comes right after her being like, what do you want to do? Marching is all well and good, but where are you marching them to?
Right.
And he tells her what he thinks a good plan would be. And then he says that he would send, who lost the fingers? Is that Great John?
Great John, yeah.
Right. So he's like,
Karstark.
I'll send Great John.
Rickard, I think.
Is it Rickard?
I think it's Rickard. I'm trying to find the spot where they're talking about it.
I'm sorry. Great John is an Umber, right?
No, you're right, yeah. I thought that it was an Umber that lost his fingers, but I am lying. I'm trying to find the spot where they're talking about this. I'm sorry. I bet, you know what? I should go check my notes from Oster Arminio, because it might be mentioned on there. Oops. Here we go. Oh my god. And then he brings up fucking Lord Frey.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have to talk about, like, when he reads the letter from Sansa to Catelyn as well. But my point was just going to be that he first wants to send one guy because he's like, I'll give him the honor of fighting Lord Tywin. And she has to kind of nudge him like, well, yeah, he's fearless.
It is the Great John, yeah.
Is it? Mm-hmm. And he decides to swap the positions and is going to send Roose Bolton with the segment of the army to engage Tywin.
Right.
And I don't think I expected, and I can't remember from the show, sorry, Roose Bolton being practically one of Robb's right-hand men, knowing what I know about where that character eventually ends up, I am so upset.
I think that's fair.
And the way they're talking about him, Robb and Catelyn, about like how cunning he is and ruthless, and I'm just like, yeah, you see it, but why is he your right-hand man, though?
Because you want the cunning, scary man on your side.
Yeah, but but is he on your side, though?
Yeah, that's the question.
You know, but before we get to that, when they're first alone, oh my God, that dog!
I'm sorry.
He was when I was waiting for you to come back to the headphones. I could hear him.
He's like quiet all goddamn day long, and then as soon as I don't know if maybe it's the talking,
maybe
that like starts to set. But you and I were chatting before, and he wasn't doing. I don't know. He can tell when the mic's on. He's the fucking ham. That's what it is. Hey,
over here. So he gives his mom the letter from Sansa to read, and she's, immediately, this is Cersei's letter.
Yeah.
And he mentions that there's no sign, or no mention, rather, of Arya in this letter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, thank you.
They said that last time. I think that when he's talking to Bran about it, they mention, like, the fact that she doesn't even say a thing, and they don't really know how to interpret it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thank you is more because, did Sansa ask about Arya when she was being made to write this letter?
No, she did not. And then she doesn't even realize that she didn't ask until like the next day when she's in bed that night or something.
Yeah, so I just appreciate that people remember that she, is a person that existed.
True.
So there's a lot of mention too of a lot of these people that I have no idea who they are, and I don't imagine they're very important. But there's just all these other characters, like these Manderleys.
Yeah.
That are all, I guess, very big and stout men. They're men that enjoy a good nosh.
Too fat to sit a horse.
I didn't want to say it.
Look, as somebody who looked into horseback riding on a vacation that I was planning on going to, I am in the too fat to sit a horse camp myself. I am above the 250-pound weight limit there. And I feel for him.
250? That seems low.
I thought so. But I'm also very sensitive.
Oh.
So.
I'd have thought a horse could take more than that. Listen to me. What do I know? What horses can I do?
Like, I guess he could pull more than that, but sitting square on his back.
Yeah.
I'm sure it depends on the horse. Nobody wants to, like, ride a draft horse, though. They're not fast.
I mean, I like to mosey, so maybe a draft horse would
Oh my God, I was taking a sip of my drink. I almost spit kombucha all over, which would have been horrifying. And also, I like to mosey, maybe the postcard this next month, because that's just gold right there. Gold, Jerry.
So we meet these Manderley brothers, Willis and Wendell, and there's mention of all these other houses that have shown up, and they where Robb is camped,
Catelyn,
right? Now, why do I know that name?
I don't know.
Damn it. Okay. We'll put a pin in that. Somebody, Sir Brendan, that's the Blackfish?
Correct.
He is unimpressed with Moat Catelyn.
Yeah, they roll up and he's like, This
is it. This is the spot. And the way it's described, it's just like ruins of something that was once like a great fortress or whatever. And it is in disrepair.
Indeed.
But it's still pretty formidable. And Catelyn starts talking about the things that Ned has said. And Ned has said that it is... what is he? Oh, he says formidable too. But yeah, so it's like surrounded by this gross, waist deep muck. Yeah. There's all kinds of creatures in there. There's all kinds of bogs and quicksands and suck holes, which I don't even... Is that a sinkhole? A suck hole? It sounds much more aggressive. So.
Yeah.
Like a sinkhole is something that happens. A suck hole is something you do.
Oh.
It feels really aggressive. It feels really aggressive.
I wasn't ready for that, but that's true.
So I don't know if
super
that's
uncomfortable.
I don't know if it's a real thing or not, but I don't want to know.
They also mention lizard lions,
They
which
sure do.
I don't know if there's confirmation on that, but I think that is a crocodile or alligator.
Oh. It never even occurred to me to try to decipher what the fuck they were talking about. I was just like, oh, lizard lions. Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, I guess there's no real reason to try,
right?
like, yeah.
We have dragons in this world. I'm going to get, like, stuck on lizard lions? Like,
That's
why?
fair. That's fair.
But yeah, I guess yours probably makes more sense.
I don't know that that's true. Like, you know, I'm saying I haven't gotten confirmation of that.
Well, I don't know, listeners. If anybody feels like they want to confirm one way or the other.
I'm going to mention some of Austin's notes here because I went and found them. Thank you,
Okay.
Austin, for sending these. He mentions House Manderley getting cut out of the show. Your little comment, like, there's a lot more characters here. It just made me want to, like, laugh because that's what we have all been sort of waiting for is you to realize just how much gets cut. And it doesn't start to become apparent until the next book and a half. And then you really start to be like, wait, what?
Mm.
And the Manderleys are, like, an enjoyable little bit that I think... I mean, I understand them not being in the show, but I really liked the parts that they played.
Can I just, real quick, while you're talking about the Manderleys, and it might be even what Austin wrote in there, but
Okay.
their sigil, it's a white merman.
Yeah.
And somebody in this bitch has a unicorn sigil.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember who that is.
How is that not in the show? Okay, but go ahead and read with the notes.
Let's see. He just says he's the Lord who Wyman Manderley does briefly show up. He's the Lord who gets up and declares Jon King of the North first after Lyanna Mormont makes her speech. They're interesting in that they are not originally from the North. They were forced to leave the river area after losing a war, made their way north where they were given land by Stark kings. Although they have lived in the North for centuries, they still worship the faith of the Seven. And their seat, White Harbor, the only city in the North, is more like a southern city in many ways. So, I thought that was interesting.
One of them makes a joke about being southern.
Yeah.
When she's talking to... Oh, wait, no. That's the Blackfish that says it. It's not a Manderley. He says, remind me not to linger here. Last I looked, I was southern myself.
Oh, right, because she says that they're ghosts that thirst for southern blood.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. I don't know why never mind. I'm not gonna, why is the Blackfish saying he's southern himself?
I think the Tullys technically are, because they worship the Seven. You know. Yeah,
that's true. And the whole thing about Catelyn going north to Winterfell and how different it is. And yeah. Okay. And then who else? We have somebody has I talked about the unicorn, the merman. There's a family called the Hornwoods. Mm-hmm. And theirs is just a bull.
Okay.
On an orange field. Just okay.
There are so many sigils. Yeah. It's impossible to remember them.
There's 3 towers at this Moat Cailin place, and there's one is called the Drunkard's Tower. Mm-hmm. Then there's one called the Children's Tower, and then the Gatehouse Tower, which is where Robb is.
Right.
And it's a line somewhere about one of these buildings being like, looks like it's going to fall right the fuck over.
Yes. I'm assuming that's the Drunkard's Tower?
I would think so. I really should be if it's not. That's just a wasted opportunity.
The Children's Tower, did you notice what she said here? Because this struck me this time, and I didn't remember it from my first reading at all. I'm trying to find the spot where it's described.
It's the legend that said the children of the forest had once called upon their nameless gods to send the hammer of the waters.
Yeah. That sounds to me like the children of the forest called down like a tsunami or something. And I'm like, can they pull that trick again and just get rid of the whites? That'd be great.
I mean...
They're not like around, but we find some. And just ask them to, call the gods and send the hammer of the waters. Boom, done.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't want to get us that far ahead in the books, but from what I remember of the show, that whole, when we do finally run into some of the children of the forest, it seemed like a lot of a waste of my valuable time.
It's so hard to hold my tongue sometimes, I swear. They read the letter from Sansa. They realize immediately that this is Cersei talking. And there's some... Robb is worried, and he should be, about how safe the family is. Mm-hmm. And Cat is kind of trying to be like, as long as this conflict is going, they're going to want to keep Ned and Sansa alive as pawns. Like their dead hostages don't help anybody. Mm-hmm. Is what her thinking is, and you can tell that. It's so funny because there's a conversation between them two where she remarks on how he's like growing a beard or something at this point. Yeah. And she says something like, my brother didn't get his whiskers until he was 16 or some shit. Mm-hmm. And Robb is like, well, I'll be 16 soon. And you're just like, holy fuck. Like, I almost wish that I would stop being reminded of how old everybody is, because it's deeply upsetting. That's honestly kind of a mood for this whole series.
And it's a little, I wonder if it's distracting. And what I mean by that is
not necessary?
No, well, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But also, like, as a reader, like, I don't mean to keep harping on how young they are, but I can't help it, because as you're reading the story, all of this is shit that, teenagers shouldn't be involved in any of this nonsense. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so you're reading the story and the plot's going and the politics and backstabbing and monsters and whatever, and then it's like, oh, and he's 14, and you're just like, wait, what? And I feel like I keep getting like thrown out by those mentions. Mm-hmm. But I just have to get over myself. So, I'm a work in progress.
I guess, but also you're not wrong. I don't know. Like, I've said how George has come out and admitted that he wishes he hadn't made them as young as he did. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And personally, I feel like I understand the impulse, because 8 people were just doing people only lived till 35, so he's practically 40 at age 15. But it's just, it is distracting. I totally get it.
Yeah. So at one point Robb is like, are you gonna just send me home? And she's like, I would love to, but I can't, because eventually you will need these men to respect you, mm-hmm. and low-key fear you as well. And if I do that, that's all that they'll ever think of you.
Yeah.
You'll never recover from that shame. And again, it's such a measured response, mm-hmm. from someone who we know in the moment can be impulsive and make rash, not well thought out decisions.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think that's just another moment that supports what you said earlier about how, given the room to think a thing through, she will come to the decision that makes the most sense. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because for me personally, decisions under pressure, I don't make very good decisions under pressure either. I do much better when I have some time to mull things over,
Yeah.
So I'm a little sympathetic, even though I
think I do, but I'm not sure that's true. I don't have empirical evidence to back that up.
Yeah, sometimes I think the fact that I just managed to not die yet is evidence of something, and really I'm probably putting a little bit too much stock in that. It's just evidence that I managed not to die yet. That's really all it is.
And the thing, I'm thinking about it now, and we talk a lot about the different roles that men and women play in this world, like, based on the expectation of what they're going to be doing with their lives. Mm-hmm. And Catelyn is, I'm certain, part of her training was learning how to support a man in his decisions in a way that makes him look stronger.
Yes.
So this is right in her wheelhouse, I would expect. Mm-hmm. Whereas deciding whether to take a hostage at a crossroads inn is certainly not something that she was trained for, I'm going to guess. And so it makes a lot of sense that she would be very intelligent and cautious in the right ways, for one thing, right, and not really know what the fuck to do at all in the other.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. It makes me think, too, about Cersei, who one would imagine would have had a very similar upbringing as Catelyn, and been, or at least someone attempted to school her in all the womanly arts of, being counsel to your husband and all that kind of shit.
Right.
And you wonder if, knowing what we know about Robert, if she ever attempted to do that with him. I don't know if she did or not, but if she ever attempted to do it, I feel like he probably would not have been interested in what she had to say. Not even just because of not just because he was like, oh, you're a woman, you don't know, even though I feel like he would kind of low-key be like that. Right. But more so in the fact that because he himself was not interested in government and politics and running shit, Mm-hmm. So if she did try to come and counsel him, he probably didn't feel like talking about that shit anyway, least of all with her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so now I'm thinking about the things that Cersei would have been groomed to do. Mm-hmm. And how that, you didn't really see it in the show, I don't think, but I'm wondering how that will look in the books.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, and the, the feeling from Cersei is she feels like she knows better than what Robert knew. She's giving him advice a lot. So if she ever did attempt it, it feels like she certainly has her own, she isn't shy about being like, you idiot. Right up until he died, basically. All right.
I guess maybe because her opinion of Robert was so degraded that there was not this level of subtlety that we see with Catelyn.
Sure.
Because Cersei is not trying to protect Robert's feelings at this, by the time the book starts, she really doesn't give a fuck what he, how he feels, and if she could hurt his ego, I'm sure she'd be happy to do that,
Yeah. So yeah, she winds up sort of getting Robb's plan is it involves the twins.
It does.
Is
this
so
when
hard.
We first hear the late Lord Frey?
I think it is the first time, yeah. Yep. And if we try to swing around Lord Tywin's host, we take the risk of being caught between him and the Kingslayer. And, you know, the whole thing had been, well, we'll catch him by surprise. And he's like, I don't think we will. That's a man with experience who is, by all accounts, extremely intelligent. I'm not going to try that. So he says that he will be leaving a group to hold Moat Cailin for the time, because you don't need to leave that many to really slow people down. Once we're below the neck, I'd split our host in two. The foot can continue down the King's Road while our horsemen cross the Green Fork at the Twins. When Lord Tywin gets word that we've come south, he'll march north to engage our main host, leaving our riders free to hurry down the west bank to River Run. And Catelyn is like, you're going to split the army into two pieces with a river between it? And he's like, yeah, but that splits them up. It splits up Jaime and Tywin. Because there's no crossing except for the Twins. And they aren't going to get past the Twins. And Catelyn's like, aren't they? I don't trust this guy. And Robb's like, I don't either. It's fine. And I'm like, oh, Robb.
Yeah, it's, she has this moment where, she can just see the Ned in him. As awkward of a phrase that is. And she's, you know, thinking about how well he's been taught. And,
we saw how the Ned in him works out.
But she doesn't want to, I don't want to say she doesn't want to. She's being kind of cagey with her, praise. And so he's still talking, and this is when he says that, because she asked him, where are you going to be? Like, which regiment are you going to be with? And he says the horse, which doesn't surprise her, again, because that's just what Ned would do.
Right.
And this is when he tells her that he would send the Great John to fight Lord Tywin, and she has to be like, is that really...
Yeah, the best course. Because his whole thing, like you had said earlier, is he's fearless and he thinks we should just do it. So I was thinking to give him the honor of just doing it. And she's like, yeah, but this is like somebody in charge of making major decisions. You're not just sending out a fucking thug. You have this is a person that's meant to be in charge of things. Yeah.
I love what she says is, there's a difference between being fearless and being brave. And she says, your father is not fearless. He is brave. And Robb starts to think, and he's like, well, the Eastern host will be all that stands between Lord Tywin and Winterfell. So that shit's going to be really important. That's going to be like your last leg of defense. I need somebody smart there.
Yeah.
And he decides that it should be Bolton. And then he rightfully says, that man scares me.
Yeah. It's kind of ironic because, like, we know where things wind up going with Bolton, but that's not what winds up screwing Robb.
No.
Like, so he's scared of the wrong man. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, well, yes, yeah, how they get the specifics on when Bolton turns, like when that actually happens. As far as I can remember in the show, we don't know it till the wedding. We don't know that he's turned until the wedding. And he has the chainmail on underneath his wedding outfit. So because I don't know exactly when they get to him, and I think I remember that ultimately he's given, the Lannisters give the Boltons Winterfell, right?
I don't know.
And he becomes Warden of the North. So that makes sense. Like, okay, well, they bribed him. Like, they promised him whatever, if he joined our team. But I don't know timeline, like when does he turn? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I forget where I was going with that. All I'm saying is that
all you're saying is that you're trying to compare the book to the show.
Well, I'm just trying to. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get an idea of where we are with him, and maybe I shouldn't be trying to do that.
No, I'm not criticizing. I'm just like,
yeah, I'm just. All right, well, I'll come back to that. Basically, right now, Bolton is on air quotes our side. The side of our heroes, rather. Not my side. I don't got nothing involved in any of this shit. But the side of our heroes.
That's cold-blooded, ma'am.
And as much as it, chaps my, however you finish that expression. Hide? Is that what that word is?
I've always heard it chaps my hide.
I was torn between saying chapped and chafes.
Chafes. Never heard of saying with chafes.
No?
No.
Well, all that to say.
This fucking dog. It's very distracting.
I can't believe I can still hear him.
He doesn't. It's not usually this bad. I don't know what's going on. There's a fucking raccoon taunting him just outside the fence barrier or something. What?
Let's hope.
Oh, God, I thought you got me all freaked out. It's all about a raccoon. You're more excited than the dog.
I was just like, compared to the other options of what he could be out there barking at.
Yeah, that's true. Why did you have to say that? I'm home alone.
I'm sorry.
Ma'am,
oh, I didn't know you were home alone.
Just, you know what? Just stop. Hate it.
So the chapter ends with Catelyn saying that she can't go to Winterfell because while all this shit is happening, there has been fighting happening, like all up and down in the Riverlands, and it's not going great. And she is worried about her father and her brother, and she's gonna go to them. She's gonna go to Riverrun. That's her plan, at least, and that's how that chapter ends.
Yeah, and we find out shortly from Tywin talking to Tyrion later that her brother's been captured already.
Yeah.
So she has this idea of what she's going to be walking into, but we know that by the time she gets there, the situation will have deteriorated significantly. But yeah, so let's go on to Tyrion. And what?
This whole chapter was so funny to me. I love the clans so much. I don't know why. I gave them no thought at all when I was watching the show. Mm-hmm. But I am just smitten with them.
Wild. Okay. Is it just because they're funny, or what is it?
It's a couple of different things. It's one that they just don't give a fuck about any of these people. They don't care about the Lannisters. They don't care about the houses. They just want the shit that was promised to them. Mm-hmm. I love that there's a moment where Tyrion is talking about their society is so. Is egalitarian the word I want?
Is it? I can never keep track. I've looked up that word so many times. Here we go. Relating to or believing in the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. So yes,
okay,
I think that is correct.
So that everyone gets a voice and a vote to the point of they can barely get anything done because everything has to be, talked about, which is just kind of a little bit of a funny line to throw out because it's like Tyrion is talking about what a pain in the ass it is, but it's really actually pretty cool. And even the women get a say, you know?
Yes.
And it's I don't 100% understand exactly what the Moon Mountain, like, they're not wildlings, like, from the north, right?
No.
But they're, like, wildlings of the mountains.
Yeah, I would say
Right?
that. I keep thinking of them as, like rednecks that make moonshine and
Jesus
hide
Christ.
from the cops, you know? That's sort of my image of them in my head. They drive, like, pickup trucks that are, like, 40 years old.
Oh, my God. Did you ever watch that show, The Outsiders?
No.
It was on, I think it was on that weird Paramount channel that didn't really, like... It was the same channel that The Underground was on. But it was about this mountain, and there was a community that lived up there that was, you know, like West Virginia kind of Appalachian kind of
Mountain
thing.
Mama! Sorry.
You know, very, very insular. Don't trust, like, city folk, you know, have their
Yep.
own way of life, their own culture, their own, you know. And because they don't really participate in our world, they basically just, like, run into town and, like, pillage.
Why not?
Steal shit and then go back up into the mountains. But, so this little community of these people are so, different from the regular folks of Westeros, the civilized people, you know. But in some ways, except for the part about poking your own eyeball out,
Ew.
you know, I just like the idea that it's so clear that Tyrion and then later Tywin, you know, view them as like savages, you know, and they're kind of presented in a way that's like hyper violent.
Yes.
But I just like that there doesn't seem to be as much bullshit.
Okay. I can understand that. Yeah.
And I also like whenever there's going to be like a culture that's subversive, you know, or considered not on equal footing as the dominant culture. Yeah, I'm always going to like enjoy reading about how they're actually better people.
I like the, as you pointed out, egalitarian thing. I think it's really funny to like read Tyrion being like, they let everybody have a say, even the women. And I'm just like, oh, Tyrion, I really like you. And then you go say shit like this, and I'm like, what the fuck? And later on, he sees Masha Heddle's body, the woman who like used to run the, and he's like, all I wanted was a room and some. I'm like, bitch, she had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
What are you even talking about? You're acting like you're like, see what happens? No, what are you talking about? So yeah, Tyrion can suck a few dicks in this chapter.
Yeah, this chapter does not show him in a great light.
Yeah.
He's being really, really kind of petulant with his father. I mean, I get it. They have this really antagonistic relationship. They do not like each other. I do like meeting Tywin, though. I feel like, is this meeting him, or is this the first time we really get to talk to him and like see what his deal is? So that's fun. I love the description of him, the physical description, because it's so different than what the actor portrayed in the show.
Yeah.
This Tywin, you know, started to lose his hair, was like, fuck it, shave it all off. Except these two ludicrous sideburns that I'm getting.
I love that. I love that. Like, what a weird look. I'm all about it. This is the kind of shit that makes me, like, frustrated because you look for character art, or I look for character art when I'm posting these episodes, and so much of it is based on the actors from the show, which I totally understand why that is, but I really get bummed out when a character is described in a very detailed and really like interesting way like this, and then you can't find anything that actually looks like that. And I'm saying this now because I haven't looked for the Tywin art, so maybe I'll find something. Yeah. But I am pretty certain that it's going to be a bit of a search. I may be wrong. We'll see. I'm going to look right now.
Yeah, I like Tyrion they're making their way, and they kind of come up onto the Lannister camp. And he wants to go down into the camp to see his father, and the group, the Moon Brothers. Well, no, the Moon Brothers are a specific clan. The clans of the Mountains of the Moon. All of them motherfuckers.
Right.
They don't want to let him go. Tyrion, I mean. Like, you know, he wants, like, permission to, like, go see his father. And at first they're all just like, nah.
Yeah.
And then they decide, you know, well, I'll go. Well, if you go, then I'm going. Well, if they're going, then I'm going.
Yeah, that's actually pretty, because like when you said that you were super into these guys, I was sort of surprised because they feel like very like base level humor in some ways. You know what I mean? Or it's just like, I'll cut off your manhood and feed it to the goats, which is repeated like 12 times. I'm like, yeah,
it's gotten to the point where he doesn't get to finish his sentence because Tyrion just says it for him.
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of, I guess it's the contrast, because these men and women are very, very dangerous. Like, they're not to be fucked with, you know. Yeah. They're not a joke. But because this is how Tyrion manages all of his relationships, you know, they get to be presented in a way that's very lighthearted, you know, and you get to see the humor, and by seeing humor in them, I feel like you see a little bit of the humanity in them. You know, gotcha. I feel like if a different character had encountered them, they would be basically nameless brutes, you know. Like, Tyrion is very careful he knows everybody's name and make sure he calls them in the way that they call themselves, you know. So I think that's why I get to enjoy them so much, because they're the type of characters that normally it really would just be kind of like throwaway, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, these are the, you know, crazy mountain people that came down, and it's not even worth knowing their names or how they got to be even who they are, right? Yeah, so anyway,
I did find, I'm going to send this to you because this is the image that I'm going to use. I was able to find some Tywin art really quickly that is based on the book, so I will eat my words.
Oh, good. Good.
And it's interesting because I have a hard time finding, like, Daenerys art that isn't based on the show. But I gotta say, this is dope as fuck. And I'm sending it to you right now via text.
Okay.
But yeah, he's got a real look by Urta Kaltinas on DeviantArt.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Right? I like that.
That's good. Is he wearing glasses?
Is he wearing glasses?
I'm trying to open.
Are you?
Okay, there we go. That's better. It was weird when it was just like a thumbnail. The shading is a little bit lighter around his eyes, his cheekbone, and his eyebrows.
Yeah, I guess I see that.
Yeah. So, like in the thumbnail, at the corner of my eye, I was like, "This motherfucker got glasses on."
Oh, that's funny.
So he heads down to see his father, and he's like, "These are my new friends. Father, can I keep them?" His father is not amused. Kevin Lannister is there.
Me home.
I forgot there was even a Kevin Lannister in these fucking books, y'all.
Yeah, he's not in the show, is he?
He's in the show, but barely.
Yeah.
But he's in the show. Like, he's in this scene in the show at this battle that's going to be coming up soon. And then I think he shows up later with something to do with Cersei. But I forgot that he was a thing. I forgot that Tywin had family, that he didn't just grow fully formed out of, like, you know...
The pits of hell.
Basically. And he's dealing with his father, and, you know, they're talking about where they're going to go and who they're fighting, and Tywin is not worried about Robb Stark at all. He's like, that kid...
Yeah.
You know, has never been in battle before. He's probably going to fucking run home at the first hint of danger.
What a dick.
I mean, it's a fair assumption, though, right?
Is it? Based on what?
Based on the fact that he's a 14-year-old kid who's never been in battle.
Yeah, but there's a lot of that in this era of fictional history.
So you think that this is not...
I think this is just him being an asshole.
I mean, no sword is strong until it's been tempered.
Oh my god. Did you just say that to me?
I'm just reading what it says.
Uh-huh. I'm just asking questions.
He says the Stark boy is a child. I mean, so far, it's 2 for 2. He's also fucking rubbing Tyrion's face in, like, how great Jaime's been doing.
Yeah. Your brother's been covering himself in glory.
What a weird turn of phrase.
You haven't heard that?
No.
Oh, that's a thing. He came home covered in glory. Yeah, that's a...
With what? White people? A thing?
I mean, probably, I would say English people specifically.
Oh,
but
maybe.
I don't know that that's true, to be honest. But I've heard it many times in books and television shows.
No.
Yeah.
Covering himself with glory. I don't like it.
Glory came right all over his face.
Oh, no!
It was a mighty load.
Ma'am. I will end this podcast right now.
I got glory in my eye.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's the worst.
Oh, I don't know what to do now.
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God damn it.
I'm just saying what we're all thinking.
Oh, Jesus. So they're going over, you know, the battles and how they've been going so far, and they've been going pretty well for the Lannisters. They are not concerned about Walder Frey because he is not a threat, and he doesn't even show up to a fight until a winner has been declared. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was kind of ballsy of Tywin to make that judgment, because didn't he do the same thing?
I feel like he did, and I don't remember, but yeah,
right?
I'm going with yes, since we both remember it that way.
He didn't show up for Robert and them until it was very clear who was going to win that fucking fight. But anyway, go off, Tywin. So he, and then they're catching, like, Tyrion up to speed and shit. Like, Robert's dead, your nephew's the king now. And
I forgot that Tyrion didn't know Robert was dead, and that feels like such old news at this point. And I was like, oh, right, God. You don't even know that shit. You gotta get a Google alert going, buddy.
Yeah, because he's starting to say something about, like, Tyrion is thinking that Ned is leading the army.
Yeah.
And that's when they start talking about Robb being just a boy and everything. And then he's like, so yeah, what does the king's best friend have to say about it? The king is dead.
The king's dead, best friend's in jail. Catch up.
Oh, man. And Tyrion starts to, like, tell his father what he needs. And his father has a plan for him. Mm-hmm. It's like, how about what I need you to do is he wants them to go. Where is it? Oh, to get Thoros and Lord Beric.
Right.
Because they've been harassing some of Tywin's army, I guess. He says, loose in our rear, raiding our lands.
Isn't that when Tyrion says, how dare they fight back?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
the
it so
gall
much.
of them. Ordinarily, I'd be glad to punish such rudeness, but I have pressing business. And his father's like, oh, word. And then some guy comes flying through the door into the room.
Yeah.
And it's the body of, I guess, whoever was guarding the
guard.
door.
Yeah, he just comes fucking rocketing through like a shooting star, slamming into one wall. Dazed.
It's Shaga, and he's threatening to cut off somebody's manhood and put it in the fire this time. And Tyrion is like, what, no goats? But the best part of all of this is that Tywin is completely calm.
Yep.
He never reacts to any of this.
Nope.
Kevin is all like, you motherfuckers, you can't be in here, savages, and blah, 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 right? And Tywin is like, oh, I've heard great things about you and your kind. It's my pleasure to meet you.
I really enjoy that because Tywin looks at him and he's like, oh, y'all just took my guard right the fuck out. Oh my God. I could use you.
He says, who might you be? They have just thrown a grown-ass man into your salon. And he says, who might you be? Without, like, even a drop of sweat on his brow. Mm-hmm. This guy, y'all, Tywin, he just built different.
I have such like a fucking knee-jerk reaction to that phrase because it's always said by people on Twitter telling you to get an LLC. So as soon as he said that, I was like, how dare you? You know that fucking like just... I do. I'm using my stimulus to build a business. No, you're not. It's $600. Shut up.
Exactly. Y'all going out here buying Jordans, but I bet you don't have a passport. Okay, first of all, sir.
It's a panini. Nobody's got a passport that they care about right now.
Pan Dolce. That was one of my favorite ones.
It's a whole Panera. Gotta get to the end of this punani, everybody. All right. So the fucking thing with the cutting your manhood off and feed it to the goats. Now that we've talked about it, I keep thinking, have you seen 10th Kingdom? I know I've asked you this before.
I have not.
Oh, there's this like really stupid moment where somebody tries to like make a joke, this guy, and it's a little bit mean-spirited, and somebody says, that's not funny. And his response is, it'll get funnier if you keep doing it. And I have said that shit so many times since watching that show. It'll get funnier if you keep doing it. And there are jokes like that.
It's absolutely true. Some jokes are just funnier from repetition. Mm-hmm. And then a really good one is like really, really funny, then stops being funny, and then somehow magically turns around and starts being funny again.
Yep.
Those are the best.
Yep. Those are the jokes where you're just like, okay, no, we're not doing it again. And it seems like they heard you and they're like, all right, we won't do it again. And then an hour later, boom, and you're like, fuck, I let my guard down and now it's funny again. Yep, I totally get it.
That's good stuff.
Basically, Tywin plays these guys completely.
Masterfully. Like, this is somebody thinking, like, on his feet, able to adapt, able to assess, and instantly figure out how to turn whatever the circumstances are to his advantage. Like, it's just like breathing to him. I love, too, that Tyrion is watching all of this and peeping the game.
Yep.
And just being like, God damn, my father he's really good at this. Like, he's a fucking bastard-coated bastard, but he's really, really good.
A bastard-coated bastard.
Bastard-coated bastards with bastard fillings.
It's like, he's not beer battered. He's beer bastard. I like it.
I can't take credit for that. That's a Scrubs joke.
Well, you can still take credit for it. I'll allow it. There's a statute of limitations on jokes, I think. And,
the patent is more expired. Now it's just generic. Just
don't play this for my lawyer team, because I'm still in litigation. And I feel like this would reflect poorly on me, but... So yeah, his dad is like, well, why don't you fight for me and I'll do whatever my son said. And they're like, why the fuck would we do that when he just said that you would do the thing just for bringing him back?
Right. We already got, like, somebody promising us shit. And he does the whole...
Oh, I can understand why you wouldn't want to. They're very frightening.
And that slight insinuation that they might not have the courage is all it takes.
Yep.
And it gets, I think Timid is the first one that's like, fuck that noise. I'll go. And then that's all it takes, because just like before, the rest of them are like, well, if they're going, then shit, we'll be there first, which is some real fucking, like, Crips and Bloods type shit. Like, real fucking...
Oh, man. I just saw the memory, like, I think your mom liked it, of us talking about how we were going to start a gang, and we were going to wear blue, but we were going to have it be azure, and carry paint chips to prove that we weren't Crips.
Oh my God, that was a fucking text thread between you, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That was a good bit.
And it was just me and you. It was just for our own benefit.
It wasn't on the air or anything. It was just our fun little bit that we did. Our whole thing was, for some reason, using really antiquated language for our gang also. So we were like talking about how, azure for our potential reacheth to the heavens. Pop's cap.
I can't believe I didn't see that. Oh, that's one of my favorites.
I'll have to find it and I'll tag you in it again.
Oh.
I think I tagged, actually, I think it was your other account, your backup account.
Oh.
Because it had your other last name in it, if I remember. So you have to go on that one and you'll see it.
Yeah. I was on that one the other day, and I forgot that there are people that I have blocked on my main profile that are still like, you know how you do that thing on Facebook where once you block somebody, it's like they don't exist anymore?
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like minding your business on your other profile and like, oh, this motherfucker is still out here breathing?
Living his life.
Living his life?
How dare they fight back?
I got so mad. Like, I don't want proof of life. I don't want to know you're still out here.
Yep.
Oh, I got disgusted. But I didn't block them on the other profile, though, because I'm a nosy bitch.
Yeah, you want to know what the fuck's happening.
You really do. You got to keep your eyes on these people.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. It's funny, though, that I'm saying this, and I don't do that. Like, I don't go... the only other account that I have is the one that's for Owen's family. And I go on there, like, periodically just to get really mad. And then I leave. I
just was only on mine because Facebook has been so bananas with blocking and jailing people for like nothing. I was like, shit, let me just make sure I can get into this joint in case, you know. And it was the first time I had logged into it in ages and ages, which is why I was so surprised to see the people out here still breathing.
Okay, so Tywin sets them up, and they're like, all right, well, we'll fight for you. But the deal has to be that your son comes with us, because as far as we're concerned, he's our insurance that we're going to get anything out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So we are interested in keeping an eye on him and making sure that he stays alive also. And this is bad news to Tyrion, because he really thought that he wasn't going to have to fight.
Yeah.
And instead he's been put in this fucking position anyway.
And like his father had just asked him about, like, you know, I need you to go do this shit for me. Mm-hmm. And Tyrion was like, yeah, nah. And now...
Yep.
So, again, the little bit I remember, like, from this... We were talking a couple episodes ago, and I couldn't get the timeline right. But when we were talking about when the story of Shay is told... Mm-hmm. Or the story is told to Shay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's Taisha.
In the book, it's Taisha, right?
Yeah.
So, in the show, it's told the night before whatever big battle that Tyrion goes into with the mountain people. Mm. And he's sitting in his tent with Bronn and her, the Shay character.
Where did Shay come from in the show again?
She was working the camps at one of the battles with Robb's army when Tyrion was in battle.
Okay, yeah.
And he brings her back with him to King's Landing. But in the book, he tells Bronn the story of, you know, how he lost his virginity and everything. And it's just him and Bronn talking. Which I thought was a really interesting choice for the show to do that, because, well, we won't get into it because we don't care what the show did. But it's just an interesting choice. All right. I think that's
sound got so good all of a sudden.
Oh.
You haven't sounded bad, but all of a sudden you just sound like really good. Because you got close on that shit.
I was all up on that shit.
Be careful about the glory. On the way real quick.
I hate you so much. When a joke comes back around and it's funny all over again. I hate it. All right.
Let's see. Oh yeah, and I just wanted to mention too, Austin in the notes mentions that the mountain clans are shown as slightly more intelligent and nuanced than they were in the show, where they're treated as just barbarians.
Well, see, Austin gets it.
You're so like insistent. Ha! Ha!
I don't mean
there
like a ha. But it's nice to be like, yeah. See, okay, I'm not, alone.
So I'm gonna say hi to new patrons real quick. This past month, at this point now, we have Brown Berry, Tracy Tuttle, Noor, Dana Cook, Vicky Hentz, Sarah Kratke, Abigail McBride, Edu Torres, Jazz, Tindalos Traveler, and Mary Seeley Stuckler. So welcome to all of you lovely people. Thank you very much for becoming patrons. I hope that y'all are enjoying the coverage of Mistborn, which I am doing with Miles, and it has been super fun. Also, Rashawn and I are doing our Unsobers, and I asked you on text whether you wanted to do Galaxy Quest for the next one, because some people had asked for it.
Right, and I didn't answer you because I knew we were going to be talking in literally 2 minutes, and then we didn't talk about it.
So how do you feel about that as a topic? It's not an immediate yes. It's not an immediate yes. We'll revisit.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It just took me a second to remember which one that is. That's the one with Tim Allen, right? And Sigourney Weaver. Mm-hmm. Have I seen that?
I haven't seen it. And thus, it came up in conversation for some reason. I think when we were on Unsober, and it came up when I was talking to Jamie on Doctor Who.
I'm down to watch it. I can't remember if I've seen it or not, honestly.
And Alan Rickman's also in it?
Yes.
So yeah, that's going to be the Unsober, the next one coming up. We'll just say it.
That should be fun. Yeah.
And that will be live on the 13th of March, a Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh, what? Conflict?
March 13th? That is my mother's birthday.
Oh, no. All right, well, we'll figure it out. Stay tuned, everybody.
TBD.
Yeah, to be D. Ma'am, is that supposed to be the number 2? All right, well, stay tuned for a better acronym and a better date. Thank you all again for listening. We love you. And we will see you next week. Until then, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
Joffrey, Cersei, Walder Frey, Meryn Trant, Tywin Lannister.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.